So, okay, I'll come back to the homework part here in a minute. Let me shorten that up a little. A lot of what we're going to do today is similar to what we've been doing, that you guys have been doing a really good job on. We're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, that's still the same old form we've been doing that we've gotten so used to over the past couple of weeks here. From the line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph of each equation. This is going to be like when we're given a slope and a point, except they're not going to give us the slope directly. They're going to give us this equation. Here's the thing to remember, though. Parallel equals the same slope. In other words, my slope is just going to be the slope from the equation they give me. So my slope is going to be -3. Whatever that number is in front of x, that's what I'm going to use for my m. And then from there, we're just going to do it like we have been. I'm going to plug in for m and x and y, and I'm going to figure out what b is going to be. So, I was going to say, and I think I'm out of pencils because they just miraculously keep disappearing. I don't know. I don't know why. They just disappear because, oh wait, I do have one.
That's mine. That's mine. I asked first.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in my y value from the point, my m value that I just wrote down, and my x value. Once I do that, it's just like what we've been doing. Multiply these guys together. So -3 times -1 is 3. And what's my one step left to get b by itself? Minus the 3. Whatever's with my b's got to go away. So -2 minus 3 is -5. So I now have my m. I now have my b. And I can write the answer down. Y equals m x plus b. And I'm done. So really, this is similar to what we've been doing with the point and the slope. Now, in number 2, this is a little different. What number's in front of x? Right, 1. Okay, so my slope is 1. Or my m is 1. And then I'm going to go back to doing what I've been doing. I'm going to be, okay. So now, just like here, I'm going to do y equals, I just found out m is 1, times x plus b. And just like we did before, it's just as getting into a groove. Multiply those together. And then just do my one step to get b alone. And since I'm adding a -1 to it, I'm going to do the opposite. There's my b. I got my m and my b. And I write my equation. Y equals m x plus b. And I'm good. Again, it's just getting into that habit with things. Okay, let's do a couple more of these just to make sure we're okay. Let's go ahead. We'll do 3 and then we'll do 5 because I don't want to skip the fraction one. Okay, what's my slope going to be in number 3? 3. Right there. Okay. I already got x and y from the point. And we're off and running. Y equals m x plus b. And if you're ever not sure, you can always look back at this first one where we've got everything written out. And again, you'll be able to use this on the unit test when we get there, so I'm just saying. What's going to be my one step to get b alone? Subtract the 9. Get those guys out of there.
Morning.
Nope. Get my b set there.
equals 3x.
Y equals 3x mx plus b. And you could put plus -7. That's okay too. But you just see, it's just kind of getting yourself into a rhythm. What's my slope at number 5?
That's not.
It's 1/2. It's whatever number's in front of x.
Which one did we just do?
Number 3. So once I get that value in front of x, I get x and y from my point. And again, I just remind myself I'm plugging in for mx and y. So when I do this, I've got y equals m x plus b. Well, half of 0 is 0. I like getting 0. And if I add nothing to b, I just have b. It's kind of nice too.
Y equals 1/2.
Right, y equals 1/2 m x plus b. Okay, so anytime you see the word parallel being used, you just use whatever fraction or whole number is in front of x and use that as your m. The only other type we're going to get into today is what's called when it goes perpendicular to a line. So now this part gets a little bit more interesting because we got to do a little bit of thinking on this. Because perpendicular, we're doing what's called a negative reciprocal. It's a fancy way of saying we're going to flip the fraction over, or we're going to make it a fraction if it isn't one, and change the sign. So here's how this works. My slope rate here, we normally would say is 1. Or we might even say it's 1/1. Well, if you flip 1/1, it's still 1/1, right? But I'm going to take this from being positive to being a negative value. Because I got to change the sign, and originally my slope was positive. So that's my m, -1 this time. We're going to do a few of these. So I've got my x and my y still. The rest of the process is going to be the same. The slope's the only thing that scares me a little. So let's see. Y equals m x plus b. If I can get this to move a little. There we go. Negative times negative is positive. One, okay, because my one step to get b alone, since it's a +3, is to do a minus or a -3. And I agree, -2 minus 3 is -5. We'll scooch this up a bit. And then it's just y equals -1x and -5. So that's the only difference going on here. So now this next one, same idea. My slope, well, close. My slope originally is 1/2. I got to change the sign and flip it. Yeah. So when you flip 1/2, it becomes 2/1. But then I also have to change the sign, and it's going to become negative. So, and for our case, -2/1, we'll just use -2. If it's not a fraction, that's okay. We'll just flip it over and do it that way. So I've got my m, I've got my x and my y, and I'm ready to roll. Y equals, just like we've got over here, again, m x plus b. Multiply those guys together. And again, just work on getting b alone. So I'll plus 8. Whatever's with b, that's what we're doing the opposite of. If I owe somebody $1, I find 8 in my pocket, I'm still 7 ahead. All right. Nope, we'll get you going on the work here in a minute, but we've got to have you some examples, because see, that's the thing that some of you think this is a waste of time. I should just do the homework. But when you're allowed to use this on the test or the quiz, it's kind of senseless not to have freebie stuff. Some of you will learn that, hopefully sooner rather than later. So one more on the practice, and then I'll get you to the real live stuff here. So I get to this last one, and I say, okay, if it's not a fraction already, I'm going to make it one by putting it over 1. Because remember, not only do I have to change the sign, right now it's negative, so my new slope will be positive, but I also need to flip it. So it's going to become positive, and I'm going to flip it over. So my slope becomes a positive 1/4. What's that?
Why does it have to be 1/4?
Because for me to be able to flip this over, that whole number, I got to look at it like it's a fraction. So I'm going to look at -4 like it's -4 over 1. Then I flip it, it becomes 1/4, and it goes from negative to positive. I got to do both things every time with these. Flip it and change the sign. Because then, and only then, will I be able to, my y equals m times x plus b. And just like we've done before, you can even put this into the calculator. Just make sure with the 1 divided by 4, you put it in parentheses. I was going to say, what is 1/4 times -4? Positive or -1? Ah.
That's what mine did.
Did you put a negative with your 4?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you better check. And then just plus that -1 there so I can get rid of it. Okay, so I've got my m, I've got my b. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? But again, keep this in a good place, because then if you get asked it on a quiz or a test, you got this. And it's just like doing a homework problem. You can just copy it. So now to what some of you deem the important stuff. The homework. Okay, this is the homework. So all we're doing here is doing what we did back on the note sheet, okay? Just with a reminder, parallel lines have the same slopes. So if m equals 3, the slope of the parallel line would be 3. They'd be the same. But perpendicular lines, so I have to pay attention to the word they use, are negative reciprocals, which is just a fancy way of saying we flipped the fraction and switched the sign. And again, if you've got something that's not a fraction right away, make it a fraction first, because then when I flip it, the 1 would go to the top and the 4 would go to the bottom, and I switch the sign. It was positive, it becomes negative. If it's already a fraction, still flip it, but now it's negative, it becomes positive. And if I just want to write it as 2, I could do that. But for the rest of these would be like, if some of you are looking, we make sure, peek to the back here, okay? For 1 through 6 on this worksheet, these are going to be like examples 1 through 5 are on the notes that we did, the very first examples we were doing. Yes, ma'am. The which ones? Oh, like when we get down to these and stuff? Okay, let me write one more thing and that we'll do that one. When you do get to the back, okay, These are done like examples 4 through 6 at the bottom of the notes. So you can kind of see how things work. But let me flip back to the front here for a second so we can answer this question and get you set. So like number 3, you mean? Like this? Okay. Now here on number 3, I'm looking for one that's parallel. So parallel just means I'm going to get my m from whatever number's in front of x. I'm just going to use that one. And I've got my x and my y.
So you don't do anything with the one?
Nope, I don't do anything with the 1 in this case. Okay. Yep, all I'm using that equation for is to steal its slope. I'm just sort of like, with the rest of it. Okay. And then again,